right, now look, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a classic spaghetti and meatball. This particular recipe I really only make around the holiday times, so I'm happy to be sharing it with you all today, honey. All right, y'all, let's go over the ingredients. So you're going to need some fresh basil, Parmigiano Reggiano, 4C seasoned breadcrumbs, the seasoned kind. I have about a quarter of a piece of some Italian bread here that I kind of let get stale for about the last 2 days so that I can soak that in some milk. I have garlic powder, fresh garlic, a flat leaf Italian parsley, crushed red pepper, tomato paste, some whole milk, onion powder. I have two 28-ounce cans of San Marzano tomatoes. These are just everything. I have a sweet Vidalia onion, 3 large eggs, and then I also use 5 ounces of the Parmesan and Pecorino Romano Sunday blend. I love it. Now for my meats, I have a pound of grass-fed ground beef, a pound of veal, and then a pound of Italian sausage. Now you can interchange this however you would like, but just make sure that you're adjusting the measurements accordingly if you start to like use less of one or the other. See that? You see that? You see that? Don't ask me for the damn ingredient list. Now come on, child. Okay, so before we even get too far into this, I want to go on ahead and start working on getting our bread soaking. So I'm just going to take off the outside. As you can see, this bread is very, very, very stale. I'm working on just taking off the outside because I really just want the inside. All right, so you're going to end up left with just the flesh of the bread. So now I'm just going to cut this down into little chunks because this will be a lot easier to soak through versus if we had just left that outside part on. You don't want to do that. And I'm just breaking this down into little small cubes so that it will be easier to break down into the meatballs later on down the line. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to transfer all of my bread, my chunks of bread here into a little container. And I'm going to cover this up with milk and allow this to soak for about 10 to 15 minutes or so while I'm working on getting everything else prepped. But I want to make sure that this is completely submerged. And don't worry, you are going to be squeezing this bread later on down the line because we don't want to leave all of that residual milk. But this right here is perfect. I'm now going to go on ahead and put a lid on this and sit this to the side. And while we're already here, let's go on ahead and break down some of this flat leaf Italian parsley. We want to end up with about a cup to a cup and a half. We can now go on ahead and add in our meat. And like I said, I'm going to be using a pound of Italian sausage, a pound of veal, and a pound of ground beef. And so that I don't overwork these and end up with a very tough meatball, I just want to go in and just break up some of this meat already, just to kind of get it already broken down. Perfect. I'm going to go in, I'm going to add in my parsley. For each pound of meat, I add in 1 egg. So I'll be adding in 3 eggs in total today. I add in the full 5-ounce container of the Parmesan and Pecorino Romano Sunday blend. I add that full container in. About a half a tablespoon of garlic powder. I do not like putting fresh garlic in my meatballs directly. I put it in the marinara sauce. I do equal parts, so about a half a tablespoon of onion powder. A small pinch of salt. I add in a half a cup of the seasoned Italian breadcrumbs. And I now have my bread that's been soaking in milk for about 10 to 15 minutes. But before I add it to the bowl itself, I'm just going to squeeze this to get out some of that extra milk because I don't want all of that inside of my meatballs. So I'm just going to squeeze some of that out and then just add that directly in. And I'm now going to give this a good mix. And try not to overwork it, but make sure that everything is fully incorporated. Once you can see that everything is fully incorporated and it looks just like this, which is absolutely beautiful, your meatballs are now good to go. Don't keep doing it or mixing it around or they're going to end up really tough. I'm now going to go in with the cookie scoop and just scoop out my meatballs just like so. Give them a nice little roll. And I'm actually preparing these the night before I actually plan on cooking these. Now, you do not have to let these marinate if you don't want to, but that's just what I'm choosing to do. So I'm just going to repeat this process and then I will be back once all of the meatballs are all done. Alrighty, you guys, we have our beautiful meatballs. I mean, these smell incredible already. And this recipe will yield you 30 nice sized meatballs. As you can see, I did not have to skimp on them at all, and they turned out absolutely fabulous. Now, one thing I like to do if I'm going to be making meatballs the day before, like prepping them like this, I actually like to go in with just a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to coat just the top of them with just a light little coating of it. And for me, I just find that that makes sure that they stay nice and hydrated the entire time that they are in the refrigerator. So I'm just going to coat the top of them like this. And I'm going to repeat this process for all of them, just on the top. You don't have to coat them completely. Just across the top is totally fine. I'm going to cover this up with some cling film, put these bad boys in the fridge, and then we will be back in the morning. All right, y'all, these meatballs look absolutely incredible. So like I said, I'm going to go on ahead and wrap these bad boys up and place them in the fridge, and then we will come back in the morning and pick up where we left off. Alrighty, you guys, so it's the next morning, and before we even start to brown off our meatballs, we want to go on ahead and start working on our marinara sauce, so that way we can start to build in some flavor. So I'm going in with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of some olive oil. And to that olive oil, I'm going to add in a half of that white Vidalia onion that I have minced down. And because these are whole San Marzano tomatoes like this, I like to transfer them over to a separate bowl, and then with gloves, just give them just a light little, mush. So that way you can start to break them down a little bit. Now, of course, if you wanted your marinara sauce to be completely smooth, you could, of course, put an immersion blender in this. But I love starting off working with the whole San Marzano tomatoes. I just feel like they just taste a lot better. So I just go in and just break them down just a little bit before I transfer them over to the actual Dutch oven. All right, now that my onions are starting to sweat down, I'm going to go in with 4 large cloves of garlic that I have minced down. Give that a mix and allow that to cook for roughly 1 to 2 minutes. Make sure the temperature is not up too high because you do not want to burn the garlic. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons of some tomato paste. And I'm going to allow that to cook off for an additional 2 to 3 minutes. By putting in the tomato paste right now and allowing it to cook, it's really going to wake up that flavor of that tomato, so it makes it much more pungent. I'm also going to be chopping off the top of this Parmigiano Reggiano because I will be adding the rind of this to the pot of the marinara sauce because this is going to add in a lot of flavor. So just chop that top half right off. Okay, this is looking fantastic. So I'm now going to go in and add in those tomatoes. I'm going to add in 1 can full of water. Now at this point, if you wanted to, you could have also added in red wine, but I'm not going to be doing that today. 5 large pieces of basil. A few dashes of crushed red pepper flakes. Now this is optional, of course, you don't have to add it in, but I do like to have just a little bit of heat to my marinara sauce. A pinch of coarse kosher salt. Let's do 2 pinches. A little bit of black pepper. And just a half a tablespoon of some white granulated sugar. Just a half a tablespoon, don't go crazy. Give this a good mix. This looks and smells incredible. And like I said, we're also going to add in the rind from that Parmigiano Reggiano directly to the sauce. I'm going to place the lid on this, turn the temperature on low, and allow this to do its thing for about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and start to prepare the meatballs. All right, y'all, so now I'm going to go and I'm going to start to brown off all sides of the meatballs. Now, the purpose right now is not to try to fully cook them, but just to get some nice color on them, and I'm going in with some olive oil. I have our beautiful meatballs here that are now ready to go. I took these out of the fridge about 10 to 15 minutes ago so that that chill could kind of come down some. You want to make sure that the oil is not too hot because you do not want to burn these. And we also don't want them to steam, so I'm going to try to make sure that I do not overcrowd the pan. And again, you're not trying to fully cook these. We're just simply trying to brown them off. And for those of you that were wondering, you can absolutely freeze these meatballs. I would suggest freezing them in a metal tray like this so that they can get kind of firm, and then transferring them over to a Ziploc bag. And these are amazing to have prepped up. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to cook all of these in this one video or not, so we'll see if I decide to save some of them today. And I just wanted to say, if you guys don't want to necessarily go through the whole process of making a homemade marinara sauce, you can absolutely use a jarred sauce if you want, but I would just suggest using like a high quality one, because if you're going to spend all of the time on buying pork, veal, ground beef and then creating these beautiful meatballs, you don't want to cover them up in some like disgusting, store-bought sauce. But I can understand if you just want to, get something done quickly, because again, these meatballs work perfectly if you eat them by themselves with just the marinara sauce. Eat them with spaghetti. You can make meatball subs. These are they're absolutely fantastic. As you can see, they have some beautiful brown coloring on them, and that's exactly what we want. Again, you're not trying to fully cook these. We're just simply trying to brown them off, which is going to lock in a lot of the flavor. While my meatballs are browning off, I'm now going to go in with an immersion blender and just kind of pulse in this a few times just to kind of smooth it out just a little bit. Be very careful so that you do not burn yourself. I have left the basil in here and everything. It just smells absolutely heavenly in this kitchen. I only make my spaghetti and meatballs like this one time a year, and it's always around the holidays. This is a labor of love. It honestly isn't even really that difficult to make, but it's kind of like my Christmas tradition to make, traditional spaghetti and meatballs. Alrighty, so this is to the consistency of my liking. Alrighty, you guys, so as you can see, these meatballs now have some beautiful coloring on them. So now I'm literally just going to transfer them directly into the pot of the sauce. I'm just going to place these directly into the sauce. Allow some of that olive oil to kind of drain off. And I'm just going to repeat this process for all of them. Be very gentle, though, as you're picking them up. My God, on today. Boy, this is going to be some good eating here. And now I'm just going to repeat this process. So I did, in fact, decide that I'm going to be freezing the other half of this. So I'm only going to be cooking 15 of the meatballs today, which is totally fine because that's a lot of meatballs and, I can't eat but so much. So I'm going to place this in the freezer, let these kind of get firm. And then, like I said, transfer them over to a freezer Ziploc bag, and then you can have these whenever you would like. Alrighty, you guys, so I've just added in the last bit of meatballs, and now I'm literally just going to mix this to make sure that they're fully submerged. My God, on today. I know y'all see how beautiful this look. Woo! Boy, call me Chef Boyardee. Boy, these bitches look good. My God, on today. I'm going to go on ahead and put the lid on this, and I'm going to allow these bad boys to go for about 30 minutes to an hour. I have the temperature on the lowest setting possible. I'm going to go in and give it a mix every now and then. But let me tell you, all of those different meats, the seasonings, the cheese, everything's about to infuse into just one giant pot of loveliness. Alrighty, you guys, so these bad boys have been going for about an hour now at this point, and let me tell you, the smell in this house right now is it's absolutely incredible. They look divine. The marinara sauce looks spot on. I have a pot over here with some spaghetti noodles going. But let me tell you, that, my friend, that's a meatball. I think I would make a couple nonas proud. I ain't gonna lie. I think I did that. And people love my spaghetti and meatballs. Okay? Let's go ahead and plate it up, shall we? All right, y'all, we have our bed of our pasta. Let's go in with some of those beautiful meatballs. Boy, this is about to be some good eating here. Yes, Lord. Top it off with some of that beautiful marinara sauce. Just right across the top, just like so. Some freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano right across the top. Give it some fresh basil, just like so. And that, my friends, is how I make spaghetti and meatballs. That, my friends, is spaghetti and meatballs. Yes, yes. All right, y'all, let's cut into one of these meatballs because honestly, I can't take it anymore. Oh my God, they just cut open like butter. Super juicy. Oh my God, do you see that? Look at that. Look at how that's still super juicy, not dried out. That's what you want. That, my friends, is what you want. I think it's time we go in for a taste test, honey. I'm done playing games. Woo! boy, I am very excited. Ooh, I am very excited. Spaghetti and meatballs. Okay, here we go. Bruh. It's just something about a classic spaghetti and meatball. It'll do it every single time. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. The meatballs are cooked to perfection. They literally just like melt in your mouth. The flavor is incredible. It's the perfect blend of meat, the perfect amount of saltiness. Definitely salt your sauce as you're going, but remember, you also have salt, you have cheese in your meatballs, so try not to overly salt everything, but fantastic.